Really?
Yes, really.
It's real. Yeah.
Yeah. There's pictures, there's video.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, early National Signing Day has arrived, and per usual, it's been pretty hectic. And if you've been keeping up with and following college football for a while now, you know it's always like this. You can almost mark it down. You're going to have anywhere from 5 to 10, sometimes in a unicorn year, 15 guys flip and shock the entire world. And that's what happened today, and one of the biggest flips in all the nation was 5-star safety KJ Bolden. He's not going to Florida State. He's going to Georgia. There's many more things we're going to talk about. I shouldn't have to sit up here and give you a 2 to 3 minute intro because you know what we're about to get into. And oh yeah, by the way, at the end of the video, we're going to talk about who are some of the biggest winners on early National Signing Day and who are some of the biggest losers. And in particular, there's one big loser that sticks out to me, and if you've been keeping up with this, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Strap in, buckle up. Hope you had a great Wednesday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. But all right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up. No further ado. Let's get it. All right, so first things first on the agenda for today. Let's start with this. It was a very, and 30,000 more varies, rough morning for Florida. There was a couple guys that they thought were locked that wound up flipping and going elsewhere, and you hate to see it, especially with Florida in a rebuilding stage and era. Let me give you some more context. If this were to happen in Alabama, they had 3, 4, 5 guys flip, not a big deal, because Alabama is one of the best teams in the nation. But when you suck the way Florida has sucked the past couple of years, the only thing you're banking on is the recruiting class. That's it. That is the only thing that's going to keep some of these fans at this point engaged. And y'all know how I feel about Billy Napier. It's the same thing I said about Brian Harsin. Say what you want about me, but when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks and evaluating head coaches, I hit the nail on the head every single time. I've said the same thing about Billy Napier as I did to when Brian Harsin was the head coach for Auburn. Seems like a great guy, but he's just not cut out for the SEC, and he continues to prove my point. And I guess that's a little teaser for the end of this video when we talk about some of the winners and losers. Florida, obviously one of the biggest losers. And one of those guys they thought they were going to get, he wound up flipping and going to Texas A&M. Great pickup from A&M, and you see this comment right here. Never in my life have I seen one school lose so many players on National Signing Day. Florida just, let's just leave it at this. It wasn't a good day for them. I could sit up here for the next 5, 6, 7 minutes and explain to you why it wasn't a good day, but let's just leave it at that. Y'all know I love to talk and ramble on, but if I can keep things short, simple, and sweet, that's what I like to do. Continuing along here, this was arguably one of the biggest pieces of news that came out outside of Jeremiah Smith, and we'll get to him in just a second. KJ Bolden, who was committed to Florida State, he winds up flipping and going to Georgia. Why is this a big deal? Because he isn't just a 5-star recruit. He's the #1 safety in the class of 2024. It goes without being said, that's some huge news. And if I was a cinnamon roll fan, I wouldn't get too worked up over this because you didn't necessarily need him, but this is a guy that you wanted. On the flip side of it for Georgia, you got to be head over heels because anytime you can get a flip, that's just a bonus. That's a cherry on top. Because a flip isn't a guy you're expecting. It's just like, oh, dang, we got that guy? Cool, sweet, add him to the list. Awesome for Georgia, and I'm not going to sit up here and hype up all these 5-star recruits because they're 5-star recruits for a reason. You know they can play. Moving along, though, check this out. The #1 overall recruit, not the #1 wide receiver, but the #1 overall recruit in the class of 2024, there's a lot of speculation and rumors going on that he might flip. He might go elsewhere, but he didn't do it. He winds up deciding to stay, and he signs with Ohio State. #1 overall recruit going to Ohio State. Like I said, I'm not going to hype this up. It's a big deal. You know what? I'll clap it up to Ohio State fans. I'll do that. Clap it up, clap it up. You got the #1 overall player. Congratulations. I'm happy for y'all. And I'll show you this video clip right here of Ryan Day's live reaction to when he heard the news first. And it just seemed like he had a huge sigh of relief. Like, okay, it's over. I can quit worrying and stressing about it. Matt, roll a clip.
Really?
Yes, really.
It's real. Yeah.
Yeah. There's pictures, there's video.
Yes, you want to take us through the floor is yours.
You got to address that one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if everything's in yet, Jerry. You got to check to make sure it's in.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you want to check with Justin?
Yeah. Before I do something to get myself in trouble.
Your stomach flipping right now, though? What's going on?
It's been flipping for a while. So.
Imagine all day.
Yeah. Okay. What was the question?
I think you had to answer.
Talking about cornerbacks, and
Yeah,
the only guy you
right.
got to was Miles.
Right.
But let me show you this. Hugh Freeze was throwing some shade to some schools in the SEC, and it's not like we didn't know who he's talking about. He's talking about Kirby Smart in Georgia. He stated, quote unquote, there are some schools in this conference that believe in last night efforts. Now, obviously, if you don't know what he's referring to, he's talking about the whole KJ Bolden thing. I'll show you the video clip right here, and I'll also show you what Kirby Smart had to say about it. So, Matt, roll the clips.
Hey, Hugh, just how much effort went into keeping the guys that were committed versus going out and trying to flip guys from other places?
It was both. I mean, you can't. Listen, last night it was. There's some schools in this conference that they believe in last night efforts, and what you gotta fight, and you gotta hold on, and you gotta stay up all night and play video games and do stuff that's out of my comfort zone, and but you just. There was some late night pushes, and we held on some, and won, and lost one, and people in this conference are good at what they do, and I don't always like what is done, but it's you got to have plans, and you got to fight for it, and but it was both. I mean, you got to try to hold on to your good ones and all of yours, and then trying to win a few battles at the end on some kids that are undecided.
I met KJ Bolden and his mom his 9th grade year in the indoor and sat and talked to him for 45 minutes and just had a great appreciation for her and him. He was a young kid then, and he actually had worked out at our campus a wideout, and we knew that he was a really talented young man. And from that point on, I mean, I bet he's been on this campus 20 or 30 times between coming over here for different events and 7-on-7s, but there was no different recruit.
So yeah, there's that, and do what you please with that information. And here are the top 25 as of 5:10 p.m. Central Time recruiting rankings. We'll work our way up here from 25. I haven't even seen these, so you get my live reaction. These have just came out as when I'm speaking. 25 through 16, nothing. No. Oh, wow. So Florida, wow. Okay. Let me break this down to y'all. Heading into today, Florida was at number 3, and they have dropped all the way down to 16. Holy crap. Yeah, it was just, like I said earlier, not a good day for Florida. Notice this, though, Nebraska, they sneak in at 21. Outside of that, nothing too shocking. Michigan at 17, and believe it or not, Michigan's always around that 15 range. It's why I say it's embarrassing for Ohio State to lose to them 3 years in a row, because Ohio State has far more talent than Michigan. But why is Michigan beating Ohio State 3 straight years? Because of coaching, that's it. Continuing along here, 15 through 11, so you got A&M at 14, Clemson 13. Nothing too shocking there. The Cinnamon Rolls there at 11. And then here we are heading into the top 10. So I see 1, 2, 3, 5 SEC teams. Or actually 6, my bad. Where did I get 5 from? But 10, you got LSU. 8, you got Oklahoma. 7, you got Auburn. 5, you got Texas. 2, Alabama, and 1, Georgia. So the top 2 are current SEC teams, and the other 2 I'm talking about are going to be SEC teams. And I know a lot of people, you just care about number 1, who finished out on top, and yeah, it's Georgia. They won. It was a very entertaining day, and it was awesome keeping up with this, but here's some of my biggest winners. I'm going to say my biggest winners as of right now is most definitely Ohio State, of course, Alabama, got to throw them in there, Georgia, and Auburn. I told people when Auburn hired Hugh Freeze, it's a great hire because he is familiar with SEC ball, and just give him a year or 2, and he's going to bring in some of these 4- and 5-star recruits, and he's already done it. If you're an Auburn fan, you got to be ecstatic for the future, and the biggest loser, I'm only going to say 1. I'll say 1, and it's no other than Florida. Not a good day for Florida, and I know some people would say, well, Matt, what about Michigan? They're a top 4 team. They've been a top 4 or 5 team the past 3 years, and they have the 17th ranked recruiting class. What's going on there? And the reason I can't label Michigan as one of the biggest losers today is because they was at around 15, 16, 17, 18 coming into today. So it's not like they had a huge drop-off, whereas Florida, they was easily in the top 5, and now they're outside the top 15, at least according to this. Definitely not what you like to see, and as when I'm speaking, there's still a bunch of stuff unfolding, so stay tuned. We're going to talk more about this. Let me know your thoughts down below. But